So, guys, the days before the new year is a busy time for a lot of us. So while it gives us a renewed sense of hope, we never really know what to expect, right? Especially with last year being quite challenging, Tao Kes will need all the help and guidance they can get to reinvent their success in the coming year. So joining us, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Singapore, is one of the world's most sought-after Feng Shui and Fatu masters. He's an expert on Chinese metaphysics, Western astrology, and numerology, and is known for his highly accurate readings. A successful entrepreneur himself, he continues to help millions of people make important decisions on health, wealth, and relationships. Today, he graces our online stage to share his forecast and advice for the year of the ox. It is my pleasure to introduce Master Kevin Fung. Hi, good evening, Master Kevin.
Hi, very good evening to all the viewers that's live right now. And of course, very happy and thank you for the invitation from ChinoyTV as well as myBusiness. And it's a pleasure to meet you, Valerie.
I am so honored to meet you, even though virtually. Hopefully next time we can meet in person. But I know it's going to be a very exciting presentation. We are covering several topics, am I right?
That's right. So together, I'll be actually prepared 3 different segments for all of you tonight on how do you actually make 2021 your best year moving forward.
Okay, so the floor is yours, Master Kevin. We are ready to learn. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Valerie. Okay, everyone that's in tune with us online right now, thank you for tuning in. And of course, with this, I will actually just bring you to my presentation slides. I'll start to walk you a bit on how to actually be doing this. Now, I'll be sharing a lot of information. So if you can have a pen or pencils on your table right now, you can feel free to write down any of this advice because you probably can also be using this and be able to use this for your families, your friends, and your relatives, and not just your own date of birth and time. Okay, so this is going to be a bit more interesting because I think in the past, you guys may be looking at just a very normal 12-animal forecast, which to me is a little bit on the very generic side. So what I've prepared for you guys is I'm going to be teaching you how to actually get a forecast based on your date of birth and time. So that would be technically be a lot more interesting and you will know exactly what is about to come for the year 2021. Now, of course, before I go down to that segment, maybe just let me just start it off by giving you a very brief economy outlook for 2021. Okay, so this will technically allows us to know what is about to come in 2021. Now, the very most common question I always get to ask is, how is the pandemic coming along? Are we in the pandemic or are we going to get out of the pandemic or what is it? Now, I actually said this in some time about 2019. Okay, so if you actually follow my Facebook last time, I've been teaching for quite a bit in Manila as well. So I might get to see a lot of viewers you are from Manila, you probably have heard of my teaching. Now, on 27 November 2019, what actually happened is this, I actually posted on my Facebook page. I actually wanted to warn a lot of people that starting from 2019 to 2020, all right, all the way to 2021, we are actually already entering what we call a water cycle. Now, this water cycle technically also means a few things, right? People can suffer a little bit of heart-related disease, stroke, and most importantly, infectious disease. Okay, because I saw this water energy is pretty much very strong starting from 2019. So what I actually want people to understand is this is something that is here that will be prepared to change the world. Really taking the world by storm. I think a lot of us wasn't exactly prepared because in almost 100 years to now, if we would talk about a lot of different pandemics, but I think nothing was as severe as what we have right now, COVID-19. Okay, so that really take a lot of people by storm, right? So people got caught unaware, you make last minute decisions, and not at the same time, we also risk our health. A lot of us, we have to stay safe to protect our family. So that was for 2019. Now moving on to 2020, the disease continued to go on and further. But I think 2020 teach us also quite a lot of valuable lessons that you kind of realize that human being, we tends to be able to survive even better if you will have to make a choice between dying or surviving, right? So, and if you look at that, that actually built out a lot of, although it built out adversities for different people, but at the same time, I think businesses has learned how to transform. Human beings has learned how to transform over this current few years, right? So now moving ahead, what is in that is this 2021, I will say that we not going to take this virus lightly as well, because we are now moving on to the vaccination stage. So even though the variation of virus can still vary from time to time, but the vaccination is going to take some time. So I would think that until 2022. All right. So whether it's fortunately or unfortunately, 2022 will be pretty much a better timeline that we are talking about if you're going to talk about containment of these viruses. But in the meantime, let's just understand a little bit further. Now, currently, right now, in terms of Feng Shui terminology, we are in period 9. Now, in period 9, it's what is known as the fire element energy. Now, fire represents digitalization. Fire represents the internet era. So now, when I actually saw this, group segment together with ChinoyTVs, I was like, this is something that people needs to hear, because, the world has been forced to enter into this digitalization era in a very short amount of time. So for now, everyone is moving on to Zoom meetings. So today, I will have to have this pleasure of sharing with you all this information simply through, what we have over the internet. If without the internet, none of this would have happened. So with that, what I also want to take this as a very valuable advice for most of you businesses owner out there, especially the Tao Kes, for tonight, it's I don't care how you're going to pivot the business, because as we move on to period 9, and this period 9 energy is going to stay around for 20 years. Not 1 year, not 2 years, 20 years. So what this means is technology is going to take over the entire world. So I don't care that, for example, I saw some of the footage just now. It was very interesting, people that selling ice cream. But you also have to figure out, how do you use social media to reach out? How do you now use social media to do advertisement? Okay, so moving from here, so on and so forth, this is important for all of us to know, because we want to be able to take advantage of this, because this is important. Now, if you don't incorporate any social media technologies in your businesses right now, I think that can be quite difficult, right? And of course, I think I was looking at Globe myBusiness. It's actually a very powerful platform that allows a lot of business to come on board, even though you probably have little to no IT knowledge, right? I have to agree that not every business owner out there is an IT person. Okay, now moving on to 2021, when we look at the economic outlook, we look at a few things. In Chinese metaphysics, we look at this interaction of the 5 elements. Now, this chart that you see right here is technically generated from the vernal equinox timeline, which is sometime around 20th March 2021. Now, putting out the timeline, we are in the year of the Meta Ox. In fact, right after 4th of Feb, we are already in the year of the Meta Ox. So it's not really the Chinese New Year, first day, which is coming on, I think, 11 or 12. Yeah, it's about there. But on the 4th of Feb, where we say this is the commencement of Li Chun, the beginning of spring, right? We have already entered the year of Ox. So this energy is now here and is activated. Now, looking at the interaction of this 5 element energy, very quickly, I'll just write you through. There's several industries you probably want to pay more attention to. Now, for 2021, it's going to be more beneficial for some of this industry. Now, if you're going to look at matter element, the fire element, as well as the earth element. So for the matter element, we're going to talk about things like, for example, the finances world, the stocks market movement, or people who's into engineering, manufacturing, production. So this is going to be some of the core industry that will go through a lot of different changes this year. And these changes, if you can adapt very well, you can actually transform and expand at the same time. So you may have thought that, you know what, we are currently in a pandemic right now. What do you mean by, can we even expand during this time? Okay, here's the thing. Every date of birth and time is different. Take a look around you. You may realize that there may be some people who actually did well in the pandemic. Not everyone or business really suffered throughout. Although, yes, in general, 70% to 80% of the people may exactly have to go through major changes. But there will be some good percentage of people, example, they can make good money through stocks market, probably through property investment, picking out very cheap assets at this sort of time. Now, next, if you observe the fire energy, it's number 2. Now, fire talks about IT, talks about internet technologies, digitalization. So, for example, stocks like Zoom, all right? So some of you will know that Zoom actually went up pretty much. And of course, during this, this 1 year, I think a lot of people was also paying attention to things like Bitcoin, digital currency. Now, I'm not here to give you advice on Bitcoin. Please do not just buy Bitcoin because you hear something that, that's from this show and I'm going to invest right now. No, please don't, because you still got to check your date of birth and time. Some people, when they enter the wrong time, you can get burned, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you look at this fire industry, these are what we call the emerging industry that is coming out. And these are the industries that tends to do better for 2021. The third is earth energy. Earth energy is very simple. We're going to look at real estates. So whether real estates are in the Philippines, all right, or real estates worldwide, everyone in the real estates industry will start to see a lot of sometimes mid-level players will start to enter the market right now, maybe picking up very good assets at this sort of value. Now, what we will need to probably pay a bit of attention to is like the wood and water industry. Now, the water industry are example, tourism. I think you and I know a very clear answer to that. Water in 2021 is going to be enter the end of this phase. And also, if you look at water energy, that is also revealing, it's also going through a lot of changes, it's a lot of challenges. I think the airline is not doing very well right now, obviously. People that's in tourism trade, these are all the major top businesses that have to go through major changes. So that will be one of the key take when we look at the 2021 economic outlook. Now, when I'm actually looking at all of this industry, now I don't care what industry you're in right now, one of the key advice is this. You must, right, really adopt and pivot your business. Think about how you can actually utilize the internet to complement this, because like it or not, because some of you could be like, I could be a doctor, I could be just a general practitioner, I don't do a lot of internet technologies, but think about it, in the next coming, in fact, from this year onwards, all the way to the next 19 years, everything is going to go online, whether you like it or not. So for example, if you look at, I think even Valerie has a lot of followers just based on her level of work that she's churning out there. So it doesn't matter that even if you start small, starts to do these slow changes to incorporate internet technologies as one part of your huge marketing campaign. So retailers, people that's in shopping malls and all of this. Now, I'm not here to say that, a lot of people are saying that e-commerce is going to take over the world and likely there's going to be no more retails at some point in time. I kind of disagree with that. Having said that is because human beings, at the end of the day, we still like to go out sometimes, right? We still need to take a breath. We can't possibly be buying everything just solely from our house for 365 days. So sometimes we need our dining, we need our restaurants, we need to interact with people. So I would say that in the shopping mall environment, a lot of things will change, but there will still be people and you will still see a lot of foothold coming to these places. So how are you going to pivot from that is one of the very key aspects from that. Now, of course, this, I hope it will just give you a very brief introduction of the economic outlook for 2021 before I actually move on to the official 2021 animal sign forecast. And as well as this forecast is going to be based on your date of birth and time. And probably with that, I will just let Valerie have a few words.
Yes, I just want to wrap up your 2021 economic outlook. Sa mga nanonood po sa atin, uulitin ko lang yung key points na sinabi ni Master Kevin na you have to find ways to pivot your business, use digitalization, technology, and social media to level up your business and to still be competitive during this time. And now I hope you guys, sabi nga ni Master Kevin kanina, sana alam niyo yung Chinese zodiac niyo because this next part is even more exciting. Master Kevin Fung is known for his accurate path readings. And today, he will share with us his forecast for the coming year. Exciting, diba? Master Kevin, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Okay, so very quickly, we'll just do this in a very, don't get too stressed out, right? So just enjoy this segment. It's going to be fun, I assure you. So first and foremost, every one of you, if you have a mobile phone right now, what you can do is just go to kfparts.com because sometimes you might be viewing your current this segment from a mobile phone. So what you can do is you can, if you are not able to generate it now, you can actually probably copy this URL right now, kfparcel.com. You can do that later. But if you can do it at the same time, maybe you're viewing this segment from a notebook and then you have a spare mobile phone, you can actually access this. So I'm going to teach you how we're going to go about doing this. So first and foremost, you see there's a date of birth and time right at this segment when you go to this URL. All I want you to do is this. Key in your English, date of birth and time. Because some of you, you're Chinese Filipinos, you might be saying, oh, do I use my Chinese date or English date? No, you don't have to complicate things. Just use your English birthday. Now, some of you may not know the time. If you don't know the time, it goes down to 75% accuracy. If you know the time, it goes up to 99.9. That's how high the accuracy is. Now, having said that, when you key this in, pay attention to this second row, right? So this second row right here, it's technically we are seeing the earthly branches. So if you look at the second row, is what we call the earthly branches. So this part is important, all right? So I'm going to talk about it in a very brief while. Now, if you look at the second row right up here, you see that there is a possible 4 different animal signs. You see, this is what is going to make it interesting, because a lot of the time, sometimes people only remember which year they are born in. So for example, if I'm born in the year of the ox, I will only look at this. You will see there's an ox right here after you generated your chart. But I'm going to show you that after you key in your date of birth and time, there's actually 4 different pillars. There's a year, there's a month, there's a day and hour pillar. So altogether, you may get up to 4 different animal signs. So you need to check what is the animal sign. I'm going to talk a bit about that in detail. So first and foremost, if the animal sign, I'm going to give a forecast later on. For example, if you listen to ox and you write down all the pinpoints about ox, and then you say, which department is going to affect me on? You will look at ox is under the year. It's going to talk about your external influences. All these changes is going to be brought about by your current environment, your friends, your social circle. So this is what is going to come in. But if you, let's say that, you check that, you have a tiger example in a month, right? Or any other animal sign in a month. This is the month is going to represent your family, it's going to represent your career. So if I mention that, this animal sign is going to go through a very good year in their career, then, or having very good promotional chance, you know that you're going to get it double the effect because this is in your career department. Now, if you look at the year pillar is going to talk about you and your spouse, all right? The hour is going to talk about your children, your investment, as well as people working for you, your employees, okay? So I'm going to make this easy for you. So look at what are the animal signs that you have right here. Then at least you know which are the department you got to pay attention to with regards to the animal sign. I'm going to give you the updates in a very quick while. Now, just look at a very quick ranking. Now, for 2021, people that has the animal sign of monkey score rank number 1. So some of you go and check, please. If you have the monkey, regardless in the year, congratulations. That means you're born in the year of the monkey. But if you have the monkey in the month, that means this thing is going to affect your career. You're going to get promotional chances in your career. A lot of people is going to pay more attention to you. Your popularity is going to shoot up. Okay, so that is what is going to come. But if you're going to have it in the hour, it's going to pay attention to your employees, your investment. So I hope you get the idea. So it's quite easy, yeah? So that's the monkey. And then next, moving now is the dog. So people that has the dog sign is also going to go through a fantastic year. So monkey, dog, horse, tiger, rat, rooster. At rank 7, we have dragon, snake, pig, goat, rabbit, and ox. Don't worry about taking a screenshot of this because from what I understand, this is going to go stored on Facebook. So you can still revisit this in a while if you afraid that you cannot memorize them. So that's fine. Now, I'm going to show you that this is just a brief summary. Now, this 4 animal sign, this is what is categorized as a top learner. So what are the 4? For pig, goat, rabbit, and ox. Okay? This year is about 2 things. First and foremost, I will want you to pick up a new knowledge. It doesn't matter, you say, the knowledge could be wealth investment. The knowledge could be business strategy. It could be, how do I go on to the social media? How do I do Facebook marketing? I do not know, right? I'm not here to advertise for anyone. But here, I'm just going to give you some pointers. This year, you got to pick out new skill sets because whatever you learn this year, it's going to come in very handy for your business. So for all the Tao Kes out there, please, this is a time for you to pick out all the knowledge. Now, second is, when I say the learners, it also means that 2021, there is a few valuable lessons you may learn in 2021, right? So remember this. Sometimes when we listen to this, it's like, oh my God, life is going to teach me a lesson. Not exactly that. See, sometimes life teach us certain things in order for us to pick up certain different episodes and then to learn from this experience. Every experience, be it positive or negative, we can learn something from it. So you always ask yourself, what is the takeaway I have from this episode, right? So that's important. Now, next is you have the achiever. So achiever are very good animal signs. These are like the middle class. They're going to go up to the first class, okay? So people that has the rat, rooster, dragon, or snake. So if you have any of these 4 animal signs, remember which pillar you have. We'll talk about different things. So that was my previous slides, right? So these 4 are what we call the achievers for 2021, which means to say is that, you need to start to increase your momentum because things is going to start to pick up very fast. Okay, you will start to get the outcome that you want. So for example, if you're looking for business expansion, that starts to take little footprints to put the expansion into place, right? It doesn't matter that you're taking one step at a time. Okay, next, we have the winners. So the winners is technically monkey, which is rank number 1 just now. Dog is rank number 2. And then you have horse and tiger, rank 3 and 4. So if you look at this, this is the top winners for 2021 because if you have any of these animal sign in your Bazi chart, your date of birth and time, that chart, you're going to score pretty well for 2021. So this is monitor what I say to you and you start to see, implement those actions, you start to see all these results. So next is, these are what we call for the knowledge seeker. So for the dog and the rat, it's all about learning new things this year. So it's quite simple. It's relative to what I mentioned earlier on. And then some of you, you could be influencer. So maybe for Valerie, later on, you can look at your date of birth and time, check if you've got a rooster and a snake. If you have them, everyone is going to pay close attention to your work, right? Everyone is going to say, you know what, I'm going to get Valerie for my show. She's going to do so well for my show, and then it's going to go up, right? Finger crossed.
Let's see.
So,
Kevin.
yeah. So for rooster and snake, it's all about popularity and fame. But be careful of one thing. You see, popularity is good if you know how to utilize it. Okay? Popularity can backfire if you actually use it for the wrong things. So be careful. We don't want to be famous for the wrong things. Okay? You want to be famous for the right things. So that is my take on that. Now, next is some of you, if are looking for romance, if you're single this year, pay attention and check whether you have the horse sign. So because the horse are technically the chances of you meeting someone new is going to be stronger. Okay, it's that simple. So if you have the horse coming in the hour or you have it in the day, this is going to be stronger, right? From someone, it could be from a working environment, someone that you just knew. But if you're married, forget what I just told you earlier on, right? So that doesn't apply to you. Okay, now for the wealth gainers. So if all the Tao Kes, wealth gainers also talks about business. It talks about investment. So this 3 animal sign is all linked to money generated for this year. So that's the rat, the snake, and the monkey. So for those of you that has went to kfpartner.com, remember to generate your chart. Look at where do you have the rat, the snake, or the monkey in any pillars. If you have it in the month pillar, you're going to get those money coming from your career or your business development. If you have it in the hour pillar, you're going to get it through investment. Okay, so then you can pay attention to what, I don't know, if you want to do stocks, then please at least make sure that you've got the right knowledge to invest. Remember, do not speculate, do not gamble. I've never seen anyone that gamble that went out to Forbes top 10. It's impossible, all right? So don't just go down that line. Now we have Mr. Authority. Now for those that have rooster, ox, and monkey, very quickly, this part is talking about promotional chances. Now, if you run a business, it means that this year your business influence expand. So for some reason, people start to hear more of your brand. People start to hear more of what you're doing. So for example, just now I see that there was an ice cream business owner, right? So they were selling ice cream, and then more people start to pay attention. Hey, I've tasted this ice cream. It tastes really, really good. This is what we talk about. So if you have rooster, ox, and monkey, this year you want to pay attention to your business expansion, right? In terms of your fame, in terms of social media, in terms of getting online. So a lot of today's connection will be through the social media, whether you like it or not. It can be Instagram, it can be Facebook, it can be, using platforms that's provided by Globe, myBusiness. That could be one of the ways that you want to tap onto this to help you to get your presence reached as fast as possible. Don't underestimate the power of the internet. It has so much ability these days. And that is going to be the energy for the next 19 years in period 9. Remember that, right? Okay. So with this, I'll just very quickly go through the 12 animal signs. This is slightly going to be more detailed. I will not be able to talk about all the different stars, but I want to talk about the very important aspects of each animal sign. So you pay attention. Now, first and foremost, check if you have the red in your chart. Now, if you have the red, this year red is talking about two things. First, there will be generation of wealth. All right, wealth can be through investment or businesses. Second, you need to look out into partnerships. So for a lot of you Tao Kes out there, if you're really running a brand, I don't know if you run F&B, that could be maybe in terms of a franchise. Look towards a franchise, generate a franchise, and then because this year is all about that additional someone is going to come in and lend strength to you. So there can be a new partners, they can give you mentoring advice. So right, even partnering with Globe probably is also a partnership. Okay, next is there are some inauspicious stars I'm going to pay attention to. So for those that have the red sign, this year your immune system will goes down for a fair bit. So please, 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 if you're going out for your own safety, do wear a mask, right? And of course, tries to sanitize your hand from time to time. Don't take any of this risk because this year, because your immune system went out, what actually happened is you are more higher chance of you falling sick. And in the COVID pandemic environment, this task is not going to benefit you if you expose yourself too much to this dangerous situation. Okay, so that's that. Now, second, we will move on is check if you have the sign of the ox. Okay, now for ox, it's about a few things. First and foremost, you see there is no auspicious stars. You may think that is there a problem with my slides? Okay, don't worry about it at all. Okay, let me just tell you this. When there'll be certain years, certain animal sign will not have any auspicious stars. When this sort of year happen, it's usually it means it's some time for change. I always mentioned this before. Change is not always necessarily bad. Think about it. If last year you were only doing 1 million, in order for you to earn from 1 million to 5 million, you must become the person that can earn 5 million. So the habit, the thinking, the systematic flow of the business, your SOP, all of this thing has to change. Right? So these are the time then you look into all your processes and then you fine tune them. All right? Do not look at this as failures. What is not working simply is just asking you to look at the SOP, look at them, fix them, and then you grow stronger from a position. So a few things for those that have the sign of the ox. So first and foremost is look at this, that is this broken stars is talking about miscommunication. So this year, a lot of things that you're putting out there, sometimes you put it out with good intention, but it gets misinterpreted. So in that sense, be very careful on your communication. Make an effort to be very conscious to communicate in the right way. So that's that. Now, second is that is a little bit of there's this surgery stars you have to be a bit careful on, which means to say all the dangerous stuff like I don't think because most of us are pretty much indoor in this pandemic situation. I don't think there's a lot of possibilities, but just in the events, any dangerous activities do not engage at all right? Because this is going to cause a little bit of injuries to you. But other than that, there is no major things you need to worry about. Now, a lot of times that when people is born in the year of the ox, they realize that, in the ox sign will be sitting on the Tai Sui, right? So sometimes people say that then this year will be a year of change. I always say this, my role here is to prepare you for what is up and coming. Now, remember this, 1/3 of your luck, right, comes from free will, which means your action, your thinking, right? What are you churning out? What things are you doing right now? That controls 1/3. Now, whatever I'm talking about right here, given your date of birth and time, that is your 八字. 八字 is another 1/3. The next 1/3 is talking about earth energy. So it comes from heaven, man, earth. Heaven is your date of birth and time. Earth is the house that you're staying in. It's very, very important. We're going to talk about Feng Shui is that. And then you will have the man energy. Man energy is talking about your action. What do you choose to do at that point in time? Do you expand if the year is favorable to you? Or are you in a status quo position? But at the same time, you look at your processes. How can I strengthen my processes at this time? I make sure that my productivity is higher. I can churn out more revenue. The same staff that did 4 million last year can now do 6 million, but obviously you don't abuse your staff. Treat them nice because these are your assets. Staff is the most important assets of a company. So we need to bring them along. As Tao Ke, you and I know that, our challenges was never small, but you are the one that's going to bring them to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's very important. Now, next, check if you got a tiger sign. Now, the tiger sign this year is about a few things. First, there is a lot of supporters coming your way, right? So what do I mean by supporters? If you're going to need any help, whether it's a mentoring advice, right? You need someone to help you with your business. You start to reach out to people. Then you start to realize that a lot of people is willing to lend their strength to you. Whether it's experience, their knowledge, their wisdom is going to come that easily because Tiger this year has the sun and the nobleman stars. Both of these bring benefactors and supporters. So what it means is to not, always connect out this year. Talk to more people, attend more online function, maybe not the real live function, but online functions like this sort of networking meetings. Reach out to more people because you find that along this group of people, they can lend strength to you. So just very quick advice on the inauspicious stars is you have to take care a little bit of your, emotion, because there'll be time to time that you realize that you get a little bit of a mental block. And then what happened is you may want to give up at some point. So even though that you got very, very good stars. So what I want to tell you here is this: remain very focused in what you're doing right now. Do not go for the shiny stars. Okay, people, Tao Ke like us, always have the shiny star syndromes. I'm going to explain a little bit. Sometimes when you're in this business, when something is not doing too well, you start to look at other businesses. Hey, this one looks better. This one looks easy. This one looks like it's good to do. What happens is whenever you go for the shiny star syndrome, you will lose your focus on your current business, and all the experience and the time you have spent on that is all wasted. So
Yes.
be focused.
So
Absolute focus.
So Master Kevin, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
So you're telling for the year, people born in the year of the tiger, don't spread yourself too thin. Is that what you're saying?
You're right. So sometimes you may say, I have so many opportunities that's on the table right now. Should I do everything? I'll say, no. Look at what has made you successful for the last 1 year or the 5 years. Look at that plan. You may get some little hiccups here and there, but stay on track. Okay, stay on the path. So that's what I actually emphasize on, right? So that's important. Now, not just if you're born in the year of the tiger, check that your parts, you can have the tiger in the month, the day, or the hour, right? So I hope that clarifies. Okay, so very quickly, let's look at rabbit. So again, rabbit, you see, it's a year they don't see auspicious stars. So it means what? Prepare for changes, right? So when you are prepared, the changes can be very good progressive change. This is what we are going to talk about, right? So a few things right here is this year, for those that has a rabbit sign, be a bit careful in terms of signing legal contracts. I want you to read the fine prints very carefully, because if you don't, sometimes this legal problem starts to come back and bite you, caught you unaware. So I don't want you to be in this sort of situation. So this is when everything they're going to sign, whether you're going to do a new collaboration, you're going to do a new TV hosting, I wouldn't know, right? Any legal things, look through it again. Now, some other things is, I want you also to pay a bit attention to your family health this year. So because this year there's a little bit of stars, it means that some of your family member could be falling sick a little bit more usual than, what's common. Okay. So pay more attention to them, be appreciative of their presence, spend time with them. That will really get you, you don't have to worry about your family, and then you can focus on your career or the business. So that's the important part, right? So next we move on to the dragon. Very quickly, in the dragon, you look at, there's a few, inauspicious stars. I talk about some of the more important one. So first and foremost is you will get to see, as you grow successful, as you get more fame, you will attract more haters. Make sense?
I think that's common. That's common, right? The more successful you are, people just...
Yes. Okay, I'm going to tell you this, all right? In the logic of Chinese metaphysics, we are based, all of us here, we got a single astrology sign, right? If you're going to talk about English astrology, it's Libra, Cancer, Sagittarius, right? Leo, right? So these are the Western astrology. In Chinese metaphysics, it's water, wood, fire, earth, or matter. Is this one of the 5 elements? Here's the thing. No matter how you look at this 5 element, there will be one element that can counter you. So for example, if you're fire, water will put out the fire. Fire will melt the matter. Matter will chop the wood. Wood will counter the technically the earth, and earth will stop water. So if you look at it, this world right now, no matter what you're doing, you can be doing charity, philanthropy. There will be a good 20% of people that will hate you for absolutely no reasons at all. All right. So the key takeaway is this: you want to focus on the 80% of people that is in line with what you're talking about. They are going to be your fan. You're going to talk to these people. So if you don't have haters, that means you're not doing work successfully enough. You need to get haters. Haters is good for you, right? So that one part is sometimes we get turned off. It's like, why is this successful? Why do I have people hating me on my comments? It's actually normal, all right? When people hate on you, it means your work starts to get their attention, right? So continue to do what you think you do best. All of us can contribute to the world in some ways. Okay, so one more thing. If you look at Dragon, this year, pay one attention to this. Your supporters is going to be coming from female supporters. It can be your female partners, your female bosses, your female vendors or supplier, or a female investors. So pay very attention. You've got Dragon. This year, if you want to find supporters, look for the female gender, because they are the one who are going to come in and lend strength. They can be female employees. That's work as well. So for the scandals and this agreement in terms of haters, pay little to no attention to them. Continue to focus on what you think you do right, because there will be people that appreciate your work out there, right? So if you sell ice cream, there will be people who like this ice cream. There will be people who hate on ice cream.
Yes, they will comment like negative. But as you said, just focus on your market.
You're right, Valerie. You're absolutely correct. So a lot of times, some of us is like, wow, I get haters. I'm so affected. So let's not go down that road. Focus on what you're doing, and you have 80% that still appreciate you. So that is the good thing to know. Now, next is, that's a snake. All right, so snake sign, check in your chart. Now, first thing first, you will see there's this auspicious star. It's called the 3 stages. So what do we mean by 3 stages? 3 stages is this. It's like someone taking the stairs, one step at a time. All right, so you take 1, 2, and 3. It means to say, whatever you set out to do for yourself this year, you will get the outcome that you want, provided you take the first step. Okay, so very simple. You do not have to overcomplicate things. You just have to make sure that, start off with that first step. So if you want to be an influencer, just record your very first video, even if you have little to no experience at all. That's fine. No worries, right? Once you start to record that, then the second video will come, the third will come. So you have never advertised before, then start to go into advertisement. You have never go on IT before, then maybe this part you can talk to Globe about it. They can help you with their solutions, right? So take that first step and think about what are the things you can value add to people. So that's important. Then, of course, one more thing is, just now I talked about haters. So this year, for those that have snake, the sign of the snake, 2 things. First, there is legal issues. So be careful on the fine prints. Second, you also have the backstab stars. So people will start to be a little bit jealous of your work out there. Okay, so they may say things that may upset you. So again, my advice was just focus on what you're doing right. Ignore the voice. Okay, let them say what they want to say. It's fine, but move on and focus on what you do best. Okay.
Yes. Let your work speak for itself. For the
exactly. Right. So next we have the horse. So again, horse. There's a few auspicious stars. You see, there's 2 auspicious stars. First and foremost is wealth. So for all the Tao Ke out there, you've got a horse sign in the month branch. Congratulations, because this is going to suggest increase of your revenue. So spend a lot more time, look at how can you come up with more services that can provide more assistance to solving different problems. As Tao Ke, we are always solving problems. The bigger problems you're able to solve, the more you be paid. It's a very simple formula, right? So don't deviate too much from too many gimmicks or too much marketing ideas. Sometimes what you have to do is focus on solving that one problems. So if you sell ice cream, the very one problem you're selling is you're solving the cravings of people who want cold, nice dessert right now. So that is solving a problem, right? Then just focus on having the best ice cream in the world. So that's just an example, right? And one good stars is you have the money virtue stars. This one means it brings along supporters. At the same time, it has the ability to turn negative events into positive ones. So if you understand these stars, it's important to note that when you get anything mishap that is not working too well, a little bit of obstacles, do not stop at that note, right? So what you do here is that event can turn out to be a blessing in disguise, okay? So that's important. Now, next is, this is one I need to give you some advice. We have this salty pool stars. It gives you peach blossom. Now, if you don't understand what peach blossom is, suddenly your likability for this year from the opposite gender gets increased.
Wow, interesting.
Okay? Interesting if you are single, a little bit complicated if you're married. All right, so let me be very fixated on this. Now, this one brings temporary short-term relationship. So if you are married, please don't fall to this trap. This is usually a trap. Okay? It makes you deviate. You end up have to give up your long-term relationship for a very short-term one. So don't do that. For married couple, do not do that. Single, if you want to explore, you can. But just understand, it's temporary relationship. You're going to spend more time on that, right? So I hope that makes sense. And of course, we look into the good. Now, for good, technically, it's still relative. Although it says that there'll be major clashes for people born in the year of the goat. Do not fear so much because there's only that few things you need to be careful of. When you've taken care of these aspects, you gain awareness, you control that outcome. Very simple, right? So first and foremost is there is this huge expense stars. What it does is this year there is a sum of money that's going to hit out. So my take to you is, if you're going to spend money this year, what will you want to spend on that is fruitful to your returns? So example, if you spend the money to buy houses, good return houses, that is actually building assets. It's actually okay. It's still expenses, but building assets. But if you're going to spend the money to buy a Ferrari, for example, then that's depreciating assets. So just be sure that, I would say use this sort of money to invest in yourself is the best way moving forward. So it's not expenses lost. And one thing is on auspicious stars, you have the Earth resource stars. Again, it mitigates negative effects. So the year cannot be too bad for you. So you need to understand that. Anything that is not too smooth, but it can't be too bad because the auspicious stars has the ability to mitigate them, right? And we have the monkey. Now, monkey, just as you heard, top number one.
Yes, number one.
Those of you who are a monkey, just comment in the box, monkey, monkey. It doesn't matter, you have the year and the month, the day, or the hour. So look at it. The left side, you have the auspicious stars. There is a lot of supporter stars. So this year, you cannot just lock yourself and be a loner. You need to talk to people, do more work that actually allows you to interact more, because a lot of these supporters or new ideas is coming from the people that you just know. Okay, so that is one of the key ways to move forward. Second, there is very good promotional chances, but of course for Tao Ke's, talking about promotions is not really that applicable to you, right? But for Tao Ke's, promotion also means your authority, your influence goes up. So this year, I want you to look at expansion plan. Yes, you heard me right, expansion plan. I'm not asking you to contain. Now, even in the pandemic, there are businesses, if you go and see the market, the stocks market very well, there are businesses that actually did very, very well in 2020. So observe the trend and see how you can value add certain sector of the industry. You will still prosper even in the pandemic year. So this is what I want you to pay attention to. Now, next is there is this resistance. So which means to say that sometimes whatever you're doing, things there's slight resistance a bit here and there, but nothing of a huge hiccup you should be worried of. So this is something you need to pay attention. So for the monkeys this year is do more, take more action, you see drastic results. Okay? It's not to sit still. For the rooster, again, rooster, auspicious stars, you get 5. Okay, 5 of them. From the knowledge, right, you have the 8 seeds. 8 seeds is about knowledge upgrading. You got to learn some new skill sets for this year. Now, the general stars talks about authority, okay, which is great. Now, the growth and the technically the golden lock and the relief god stars, this is all talking about the ability for current growth to the next level. So if you look at all these stars, it's all about expansion, doing well, and cleaning out what has not been working well in the past. So this is very, very important. So if you look at some of the stars that we see, there's this blood knife. Okay, the blood knife, nothing too dangerous to worry about. The blood knife simply means this year you get slight injury. Okay? There is advice for you guys to mitigate this. So starting from now, what you can do is this. If you got the time, do a blood test. Because when you are doing a blood test, okay, for your health checkup, you may have to do a blood test.
Executive checkup, like a blood test. Okay,
You're
routine
right.
blood test. Okay.
You're right. Right. So technically, once you go for a blood test, the blood is actually drawn from your body. You have already fulfilled the prophecy of losing blood. Then you may not have to go through this injury of blood injury caused by certain accidents. So this is how we mitigate the effect. Okay, do that in the early part of the year, and this will be mitigated. So if just one tube is good enough. So at the same time, you also get your health report checkup. Okay,
Yes,
so which is good. You're doing two simple things. So next you have the dog, right? So if you got a sign of the dog, first and foremost, I want you to prepare for changes, okay, in your career department. So if you have the dog sign, if you have it in a month, changes in your business environment. Okay, so again, I want you to be adaptive to these changes, find out how this change make it to be a very good change. It means things is not going to stay status quo, and then implement new changes that can bring improvement to your revenue generation, to reach out to different audience, different market segment, solving different age group of the product segment that you're offering. Okay, so in the past, you're selling for people that is between 20s to 30s. Maybe now you look for how about between 35 to 45. So different market segment is what we're talking about. So next is again, you're affected by this gossip and scandal stars, which is the crossing Shah, and these are scandals. Scandals first rule: do not react to scandals. Do not join gossip. So if you heard someone is saying bad about something or somebody else, you can just acknowledge, right? But don't join in, right? Because if you join, you get pulled in, and then suddenly the scandal you become the subject of the scandal. So don't get involved, right? And of course, the fortune star is here to give you a lot of supporters and benefactors. So make use of your friends, your network to build up different relationship, whether it's through businesses or mentoring assistant. So that's important. Now, of course, then you have the pig. Okay, so now for the pig, it's very simple. First and foremost, you have this auspicious star. It's called a heavenly horse. Now, the heavenly horse in the past requires you to travel extensively. That means all your opportunities come from traveling. But this year you may ask, we are in a pandemic right now. How do we travel? So very simple. Understand what it means is these stars do not want you to remain static in one location. So all it means is as long you get up, continues to do things, like even doing marketing, doing business expansion, doing planning, getting yourself very busy is already activation of these stars. So you do not really physically have to travel out of the country, but you need to make yourself busy with schedules, busy with plan. These stars, that action that you're churning out right now, will start to take you to the next level. So you can't afford to sit still and do nothing. So that's the first keyword. Regarding the funeral guest, there is no big deal. It just means the immune system is slightly on the lower part. So, do your exercise routine, keep to a very healthy diet, sleep enough, and then this will be fine. Okay. So with this is quite straightforward in terms of your 12 animal forecast. In case if you miss out on this, because you can still generate based on your, it could be your parents, your children, your partners, their chart. So remember that was kfpartner.com. You can always do that later by looking at that. Of course, before I introduce the next segment, we're going to talk about energy. I'm going to let Valerie.
Yes, you know what, Master Kevin, that's so interesting because Filipinos, in general, we are just aware of the year of the animal zodiac. We didn't realize that you have other zodiacs in terms of your the month that you were born, the date you were born, even the time that you were born. So again, we would like to invite our guests after this whole webinar, they can just go to kfbadzi.com to check their other signs. And to recap lang para po sa inyo guys, no, kapag magaganda po yung zodiac sign nyo, okay yan, i-maximize nyo itong taon na to, do more, so you will be luckier. And for those with challenging year up ahead, it's okay. It's time for a big change, which can actually produce bigger, more positive results, as what Master Kevin said a while ago. And now, guys, if you are looking to transform your space at home or in the office to create vibrant and successful energy, here are some tips from Master Kevin Fong.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Valerie, for the introduction to Feng Shui. Thank you so much. Now, okay, let's talk about what is Feng Shui. I may have to be a little bit blunt here, right? But I want to educate all the Filipinos viewer right here, because there can be a lot of misconception when it comes to Feng Shui. Now, first and foremost, if you have been following my work for some time, you realize that Feng Shui is not really so much about buying Feng Shui charms. It's not so much about buying Feng Shui items. I apologize to any of those masters that if you're selling charms, I don't mean to step on your business, but what I want to educate is this: the real energy comes from two things, right? When you look at Feng Shui, it's first and foremost, you need to choose very carefully where do you stay. Okay, the 8 directions of the place that you stay, it can be a condominium, it can be a house, it can be an apartment, but the 8 directions outside of your house, surrounding 400 meters in diameter, in Feng Shui terms, we call that external landform. All right, it contributes 60% of the Feng Shui energy. So you observe this: certain segment in Philippine Manila has a higher, concentration of rich people staying there. Pay attention to that. Okay. So for example, I did a lot of clients. Some of them were staying in Forbes Park. Okay. Some of the land costs from 20 to 30 million dollars. All right. You realize in some of this area, all the houses is facing different direction. But why do all of them all prosper at the same time? All right. So this is what I want to tell you. Your external environment is very important. This is called external landform. It governs 60%. Now, later on, which I'm going to talk about this in a very quick while, I'm going to talk about the 40%. The 40% is the energy space of your house, right? Or the energy space of your home. Where do you position your working desk? Where do you position your bed, right? To your stove? Where do the main door opens? Is all the energy chi flow configuration. Now, you may be new to this term chi flow, but try to answer this. Yeah, try to remember this. Now, as a child, you could be very, very sensitive to energy. You realize that babies, when they are newborn, if you bring them to a certain place, if the place energy is no good, the baby will cry in a short amount of time. Although as adult, you will felt that there's nothing wrong with this place, but why is the baby keep constantly crying? Because the baby is very sensitive. So actually, adults, in most of us, we all have this energy, but as we grow over time, our energy kind of, desensitized. So what happens?
That's true, Master Kevin. Sorry to interrupt, but sometimes as an adult, even as an adult, when you go to some places, you feel heavy or you feel like sluggish, you feel lethargic.
You're right. You're right, exactly. So sometimes when you go to certain places, it's like, no, this place, I don't feel safe. I just need to get out. For some reason, you can't see, right? It's not something your eyes can see, but your gut feeling is telling you, get out of this house. Something is not right. You may get this sort of feeling. Now, some people will felt a higher senses of this because their parts, date of birth and time, they got certain stars. It makes them very intuitive. It makes them very psychic. There are some people out there, yes. But having said that, I want to teach you very briefly in terms of Feng Shui, how do we do that very quickly. Now, first and foremost, for 2021, this is the energy mapping. Now, we call this energy mapping. In the short form, you can look at this as the Wi-Fi coverage of your house or your office. Okay, we look at different direction or different sectors. Now, this year, there's a few stars you want to pay attention to in terms of direction. So first and foremost, the very prosperous direction that is actually in the northeast. Okay, so the northeast is for you to generate future opportunities. So if you are doing marketing, sales call, or whatever, position yourself in the northeast sector of the house. Now, if you don't know how do I do that, it's very simple, right? If you have a house floor plan or an office floor plan, you will just grid your floor plan into 9 different sectors, all right? Take a full compass, stand in the center of the house, you map out all the directions. Okay, so just in my example, I show you up on my screen right now. So if you saw this example, now you will refer to this energy mapping chart here. We call this flying star, but if you're not familiar, it's fine, but just get this screenshot will do. Now, technically, it depends on what you want to do for 2021. If you want to use it for wealth increment, for investment purposes, you should position your working desk more in the west sector of your house. Now, they can be the west sector of your living room, right? So your living room can be divided into 9 grids. There's also a west sector. But some of you will say that, you know what, I don't work in my living room, I work in my bedroom. Then where do I sit? Then in your bedroom, you can also divide into that ninth sector that is also a west sector. So what you do is position your sitting sector in that sector. When you do your email, your cold call, your sales, send out your proposal, you do it in that sector. Do that enough, you start to see your ROI, right? Out of all the 10, 20 emails you're sending, more inquiries come back because we are saying we are tapping onto the positive energy of the different feng shui flows of the energy. Now, if you're looking for supporters, so some of you are looking for, probably you want to be famous, you want people to support you, you will position yourself in the south sector. So the south sector is all about looking for supporters, right? This is something important. Now, if it's all about studying, learning a new skill sets, you can tap into the east sector. East sector is all about academics performance. So some of you could be studying for university, or you could be studying your second or third master degree. This is where you go, right? Or even studying how to invest in the market, you can use this. What happened is your productivity get increased. You study for 1 hour, you memorize so much better than you were studying for 4 hours in other sector of the house. Okay, so this is a very quick ways that we use in terms of energy mapping. But be careful is this, the north sector this year brings a little bit of illnesses. So if you position in the north sector too much, you may felt sick more often. Then quickly get out and move to different sectors depending on what you want to use on, right? So the southwest will bring quite a bit of argument and conflict. And the northwest sector, if you have water at home, so for example, there are some water feature. Okay, so this is, if you have it in the northwest sector, this can trigger robbery. So I mean, sometimes in a pandemic world right now, this thing can happen because people might be desperate and looking for options, right? And be very careful. It's one key note. Do not do your renovations knocking of a hammer, drilling in the southeast sector, because this is the disaster 5-star, right? So these are important. There are other sectors. Those you can, if you want more information, you can always go and visit our website later on if you're very, very into feng shui. But at least for now, understand how do we actually implement this. So this is important because 1/3 of the time is usually spent in office or your home, right? Or we sleep in our house at least 8 hours. So
Actually,
just
now longer because we're locked
yes,
down. Yeah, right?
yes, because of the pandemic,
Yes.
some of us even longer, right? Maybe like 20 hours inside the house, only 1 hour go out to get some groceries before you come back again, right? So try to use it for 2021, you will see huge differences. When I talk about feng shui, you realize a lot of this thing, there is no need to buy any feng shui charms. Again, I mentioned, there is no need to buy dragon, phoenix, or whatsoever. If you want to buy it for decoration, you're welcome to, but do not expect certain results will change this and that, because strictly feng shui doesn't work on the charm. In Singapore, in fact, most people here are quite educated already. They already knew that, your secret animal they wear around here, or, they have it all over the place. It doesn't work anymore. And sometimes it can be quite expensive. Okay. But if you're buying it as a hobby, as for something that makes you happy, by all means, right? If you are still supporting your regular people, then by all means still do it, right? But I'm trying to teach you the real method of feng shui right here. So with this, I hope that it starts to give you, really good insights of what are the strategies. So we have done the economic forecast for 2021. We've covered 12 animal sign, and of course, we have also covered a bit of your feng shui movement for 2021. Now, of course, right on to this segment, I think we can also move on slowly to our Q&A session.
Yes. You know what, Master Kevin, that was such an informative and enlightening presentation. Thank you so much. And I'm sure actually your audience has plenty of questions in mind for our feng shui experts. So guys, just fire up the comment section with your questions, and we will try to go through as many as we can. And as Master Kevin said a while ago, we have to try to increase our luck, but we also have to work hard for luck and for doors to open further. So, Master Kevin, we have a few questions coming in already. You know what? We have so many viewers watching us right now. Maybe you can say hi to them a bit. And yes, hello. And we have questions coming in already. Maybe hope you can answer some of them. The first one is this one. So last year presented many opportunities for younger people to start a new business. What advice can you give these new entrepreneurs to sustain success and growth in the coming year?
Sure. So first and foremost, you see, I was a very young entrepreneur. I started my first business at the age of 14. You hear me
Wow.
right? I was doing part-time.
14. Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
14. So, and then gradually I own data centers. So I know exactly what Globe is doing right now. Very into that business. I was in IT business for a while. Feng Shui and consulting has been what I've been doing in more of a private basis for the last 20 years. That's when, for the last 10 years, I've been teaching online and so on. Now, here is my valuable advice for new business starters. First rule, please do not be afraid to fail. Okay? So you need to understand what is the term of failure. Failure is when you stop doing or you stop trying. That's when you fail. Okay? If you understand this very well, what it actually means is this. Now, a lot of business, in all business included, when you start, what you're actually doing is you're trying to solve problems, whether it's revenue problems, whether it's staffing problems or marketing problems or even funding problems. Along the way, you will definitely meet a little bit of that hiccups. So when I talk about this is because these are some of the things I wish I could have told myself when I was 14, because I attended some businesses at a very young age and I do not understand the business completely at those times. And then I give up too fast. And then only to realize that that business becomes so popular that it picks up in about 5 years later. So that is one of the first advice I want to give you very young entrepreneurs. In fact, today, I will tell you this. To all the universities, people, professors, I apologize in advance. Now, today, I will say that, having a university degrees is not the most important anymore. Now, you and I know that what you need is actually just skill sets and skill sets that can value add to people to solve people's problem. And today, because of the proliferation of the internet, you can learn a lot of things pretty fast, right? You can do online courses, you can learn from YouTube, you can learn a lot of these things very fast. So these days, what is going to change is this. Starting from this year all the way, in fact, for even last 5 years ago, you realize that a lot of degree holders may not even get a very capable job these days. And you may also get to see that there are some YouTubers, okay, they're earning that amount is not what someone can generate in the work of a lifetime, right? So what I'm going to tell you is this, don't be afraid to take on challenges. In fact, I want you to come out to do what you think you do best. This is very, very important because if you do something that you have absolutely no passion, well, of course, your passion has also be at the same time something that solves people's problem. I re-emphasize that the bigger problem you solve, the more you'll be well paid. So stand on, stay focused, don't be afraid to fail, and then you will see that in a 4 to 5 years time, your business can pick up very, very fast, as long as you're not giving up. Okay, so that will be my key advice for very young business entrepreneurs.
Okay, we have our next question from Gigi. We are due to build the house this year. What do we need to take note?
Okay, so now if you're building a house, there's actually two phases. I'm not sure whether it's already completed or you're in the midst of renovation, but let me just give you very quick pointers. Now, if you technically have already, just going to start renovation, I want you to pay attention to this. Let me just come to this energy graph for a bit. I will just put it up on my screen right here. So there's something you have to pay attention to. Now, before renovation, there is this process we call ground digging activation of energy. So that means you have to use a hammer or you have to dig some soil in certain parts of your house. Now, you do not want to do this knocking. You need to avoid the southeast sector because the southeast sector this year is the disaster number 5 stars, which is the 5 yellow. And at the same time, you want to avoid the east sector. East sector this year has the energy where we call the tree killing. Chinese is sansa, but doesn't matter. Tree killing is energy that gives a lot of obstacles and problems when you activate energy at the wrong time. So next, pay attention to the southwest. This is what we call the year breaker energy. So these are some of the problems that you may encounter. Now, having said that, now let's say you have already renovated, things has already been done. So very quickly, what we do is this: things has already been done. Once you move into the house, start to utilize the energy sector I talked about earlier on. So if you have children that want to study well, utilize the east for academics. If you have people working from home, then tap onto the west and the northeast sector more. Position yourself working there. You can use your notebook, sit down there, send out email, do your phone calls, do your marketing proposal. You start to see all the ROI. I hope this give you really good insights.
Okay, we have another question from Elisha, and I think it is also related to that chart. How do you know what position to face your office table and bed for someone who's working at home?
Okay, sure. Very simple. So, for example, if I want to rest well, okay. So if I want to rest well, I just have to make sure that it is in some of the red sector. The red sector is the one I indicated. So, for example, west, south, northeast, or east. These are the four sectors that are considered the positive sectors. So let me just answer your question on then how do I face? So very simple. Now, when you sleep, all right, on the bed, the back of your head is your sitting direction, the back of your head. So you need to make sure that the back of your head is facing, for example, if west is good, you want to tap on the west energy, then my back of the head is facing west. It means I'm front facing east, right? If I want to tap onto the west. Now, if I want to tap onto the south energy, the back of my head is facing south. I'm front facing north. That's how I'm going to position my bed. So when you lie down, technically your back of your head is facing south. So that's how you position your sitting in your working desk as well as your sleeping location. Okay?
Okay, next question is from Marivic. Where is the best placement for plants in the office for prosperity? And what kind of plant will be good?
Okay, good question. Right. So first and foremost, plants will always help to mitigate negative energy, known as Shachi. Shachi means negative energy. Some books will suggest these are called poison arrows, depending on where you learn from that. Now, plants will help to absorb or defend against negative energy. So strictly, plants can be put anywhere, but I will go into specific first. Because technically, there is no negative energy or putting plants unless you are putting too much plant, which the whole house become very dark. It means yin energy accumulates. Now, when yin energy accumulates too much, the house balance of yin and yang is off balance. You may get spirits problem coming to the house. Okay, so if you're going to talk about one plant or two plant, then it's no big deal, right? You can put it in the front part of your, for example, entrance area because it helps to absorb any negative energy. Something you'll note here, if the plant keeps dying very often, it means it's helping you to tank all the negative energy and you should replace them very fast. Okay, and one more thing. Now, with regards to the shape of the plant, please do not get cactus because they are sharp and pointy. It means to say all this is going to not help you to tank the energy, but it give you more negative energy. Any of the plant that is very sharp, pointy, is not recommended. We want huge, leafy plants. So, for example, in Asia we have this we call the money plant. All right, it's a very huge piece of leaf. All these are very prosperity plant. So get the plants that are very leafy, huge in terms of their leaf, not very sharp and then very pointy. These are plants that you avoid from. Hope that answer your questions.
Okay, and then after this webinar, I will buy a plant. Yeah, thank you. Okay, our next question is from Lim. In Patsu, what does the day column represent? What if in day, month, or year, he has elements that are contradicting? Example, he has water in day, fire in year. What effect does it give to him?
Sure. So technically, obviously, if you want the full perspective of your Bazi, you're more than welcome to come to us for full consultations, right? Now, why do I say that? I'm not here to upsell you anything. Just understand this. For us, our position is when we look at the year, month, day, and hour, the Bazi chart does present a lot of things from what is the characteristics and strength of this person. For example, if you're going to look at the point of relationship, you will be able to see that how is he, what sort of relationship he has with the wife, with the spouse, with the parents, with the children. You can see everything from the Bazi. You can even see health problems. Now, if somebody is plotting the Bazi chart, you also see there's the luck cycle. Luck cycle talks about your experience, your life journey. So every luck cycle is 10 years. So to answer your questions very briefly is, if you look at the Bazi chart, you will see there will be a lot of 5 different element interaction. The day actually represents yourself. Okay? The day represents yourself. So you'll see that in Bazi there is 3 rows. There's a heavenly stems, there's an earthly branch, there's a hidden stems. Now the day heavenly stems is your Chinese astrology sign. It's very simple. So if you look at the day heavenly stem is in the square box. So observe what is that. If that is water, that means you are born as a water. We call that the day master. That means this is your sign. Now, of course, looking in reference of that, let me just teach you a bit more. Just now we were looking at the 12 animal forecast, right? So if you have the animal forecast that is in the month or in the month branch itself, the branch suggests everything that's got to do with your career and your family. So if I mentioned just now, for example, monkey is very good. If you have the monkey in the month branch, then this year you'll do very well in your career, in your business, and having very good time with your family. But for example, you have the monkey then in the hour, then all of the good stars is going to help in terms of your investment, your children. Children could be communication with them is relatively a very good year, or it's a year that you spend a lot of time with your children, or your employees, that means your subordinates, people that's working under you, right? These are the time that, you build very good bonds, decides to bring your business further, right? So I hope that answer your questions.
Okay, our next question. It's quite a personal question. So, Master Kevin, what is your personal mantra for 2021?
Okay, my personal mantra is this. What has come will come. Now, in 2020, we've seen the pandemics. Now, a lot of business wasn't ready to change. So what happened? We also do see a lot of business that kind of closed down during 2020. Now, all I'm seeing here is this. Moving ahead in 2021, what the pandemic has shown us is this. Anyone who persevere on during the pandemic actually stay on, do better, and even progress more for the future. So this teaches a very important lessons. Now, it doesn't matter whether your luck is good or bad. Again, I emphasize 1/3 of the luck comes from your action. Now, if you decide to give up at some point, okay, you already lost 1/3 of that luck, right? So this is very important. What it means is I want you to stay on track, have sure, absolute focus. It doesn't matter if you say that, okay, I want this year to have a good relationship. My take is this. What are you doing for a relationship right now? Are you putting more time for your spouse? Are you spending time with her? Are you, everything is an investment. I think you agree with me. If you want a good relationship, you need to invest time in your relationship. If you want a good businesses, you need to invest time to look at all your business processes. You need to go and find problems. If a business has no problems, obviously the amount of time that you have to grow is going to be much longer because you can't spot the problems. Every business has a problem. So the cool mantra, the very short mantra to move to 2021, stay on track, stay on path, sure, absolute focus. Stay on.
Thank you so much, Master Kevin Fung. You enlightened and educated and inspired so many of our Tao Kes out there watching. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much, Valerie.
There you have it, guys. And may the year of the ox bring us good things, not just in business, but in every aspect of our lives.